This was also the first national election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, the landmark ruling that guaranteed the right to abortion in the United States. And abortion was on the ballot in a number of states. To tell us more about it, we are joined by Annette Young, the host of the 51%. Good morning, Annette.
Good morning, Alison.
Now, Annette, some analysts said that in the end, abortion turned out really not to be such a major issue compared to things like inflation, which we were just hearing about. But you might disagree with that.
I do, actually, because these midterms turned into effectively a mini presidential election. We witnessed a massive voter turnout, and the interesting thing is more young people than ever before were voting. Of course, it's early days yet. The dust has yet to settle, and so we can't get the voter breakdown. But I think that's going to emerge as an interesting trend. Now, as you pointed out, in the wake of the Roe v. Wade decision, there are now 13 states that ban abortion in most cases, others severely restricting access. That means some 58% of American women are living in states now that have some degree of abortion restrictions. So, as we are seeing, it's early days yet, but the Republicans have been tipped to take control of the House of Representatives. The Senate, however, is becoming very interesting, with the Democrats retaining the seat in Pennsylvania, and obviously that win by John Fetterman boosting the Democrats' chances by defeating Mehmet Oz. Mehmet Oz is a TV figure. He is quite controversial, and what's been interesting is that CBS News did an exit poll and actually started talking to men and women as they came out of the voting booths and asking them how did they vote. And it appears that in this key Senate race, gender indeed became an issue, that there is starting to emerge a gender divide, with the bulk of women saying that they weren't going to vote for Mehmet Oz because of his very pronounced anti-abortion stance, as opposed to men who are saying the opposite, that the inflation and the economy was a key factor. Now, that's something, again, it's early days yet, it's the early hours of the morning, Wednesday morning in the US, but in the next 48 hours or so, I think we're going to start to see some more interesting trends emerge, and I think this is going to be one of them.
Yeah, of course, key issue depends on who you ask. Annette, referendums on abortion rights were also on the ballot in several states, notably in Kentucky, where that referendum would explicitly state in the Constitution that Kentucky does not guarantee the right to the procedure. Have we got any results from that?
We have indeed, and this is something for me of great interest because, as you know, the 51% has done a special edition where we went to Kentucky and Washington to talk about abortion rights in the midterms, and the pro-choice movement in Kentucky is claiming victory in their battle to defeat this amendment to the eliminate the right to abortion from the state constitution, which would make Kentucky the second state since Kansas, after Roe v. Wade decision, to reject such an effort. 85% of the vote has been counted, according to the AP. What it means, which is really interesting, is that at the moment in Kentucky, after Roe v. Wade, the state moved very quickly and issued this trigger ban, which effectively, was a near total ban on the procedure. But they wanted to go a step further and introduce an amendment to the Constitution, which would mean there'd be no legal recourse. In other words, you couldn't attempt some years down the track to restore abortion rights. Well, the pro-choice movement moved in very much, spent a lot of money, millions of dollars on their campaign, and they have won. The voters have said no. That is interesting. We certainly backs up with what we were hearing and seeing when we were filming there. A lot of women, even Republican voters, were saying on the abortion issue the party had gone too far. Now, some of the other states, California, Vermont and Michigan, it looks like at this stage they've all voted yes to enshrine abortion rights within the Constitution. Again, those figures yet to be finalised, but it looks like that's the case.
And just quickly, Annette, you also wanted to tell us about some of the women who've been elected into office.
Yes, some notable results when it comes to female representation. Massachusetts, Maura Healey is poised to become the first ever openly lesbian governor in the US. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you might remember that name. She, of course, was the press secretary to Donald Trump. She's set to become the first woman governor of, now, there you go, Arkansas. Knew I was going to stumble over that one. And another really interesting race in Oregon. 3 women all competing for the governor's position. At this stage, it looks like the Tina Kotek from the Democrats is set to win, but she's ahead of the Republicans' Christine Drazan and independent candidate Betsy Johnson. Interestingly, Stacey Abrams, very renowned, well-known figure. She did not appear to or rather obtain victory in the Georgia race for the governor's position. This is a second attempt.
All right, we're going to have to take a quick break. Thank you very much for that, Annette. Thank you, Martin Quincé. We'll have more analysis from you after this quick break. Stay with us here on France 24. In just a few moments, we will continue our analysis of the midterm elections in the U.S.